Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the CDL podcast channel. In this episode today, we're finally back to making predictions. Matches are finally back. It's been a while. It's so weird. We got into the season, we were rolling, and then it was like a couple week break. This time, at least, the break was validated because it was the holidays. People were visiting family, spending time with family. So you can never drag the CDL for that one. It's easy to drag them a lot of times, so we can't drag them for that one. But if you guys enjoy this one, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube. Drop a follow, drop a 5-star review on the audio platforms. Appreciate all your support, even through another break. And I'm just excited to get back into these matches. And before we know it, Major One's going to be here. Just a couple weekends away. Not a lot of news to talk about today, so we'll just real quick fly through the news and then go over our predictions because not a ton to talk about. Hasn't been a lot going on with the break that we were talking about. So let's jump right into it. Brock, how you doing today?
Oh, doing pretty good. Haven't been on this podcast in, a couple weeks now, excited to be back.
Yeah, it's been a busy time. Holidays, everybody's busy at this time of year. It's crazy.
Yep. Excited to be back, watch some COD actually, because before that I did not really watch or have time to watch any COD.
Yeah, it's been a crazy time, but I'm looking forward to. We're kind of through all that busyness and can kind of settle down and actually get into the nitty gritty and watch some good matches. Yeah, excited to jump into all that. Like I said, not a ton of news to cover. Like a couple things. There was one rumor that basically got shut down before we could even start recording.
Yep.
First thing that happened a few days ago, the Challengers update, put it in air quotes if you want, because it's kind of not really an actual update, but Commissioner of the CDL, Mr. Daniel, said, Happy New Year, everyone. Our team is getting back in office and excited to resume matches next weekend. As we come out of break, getting Challengers info out remains our team's top priority. Wish I could provide a more definitive timeline, but it feels like we're just about to the finish line of getting the new platform in place. Rest assured, this is being worked on daily, and thank you for the continued patience. Which I guess, okay, cool. They're giving you a little bit of insight into what's going on, but kind of dumb at the same time because they had this entire super extended off season, which there should be no excuses for things not going smoothly to start the year when you take a 6-month off season. That should be the time that you get everything prepared and ready to go and roll for day one.
Yep.
So the fact that Challengers wasn't ready to go off the rip is just absurd because you had all this off season. It wasn't like it was a shortened off season where they were just, rushing to get everything done. They had plenty of time to do it and they did nothing to get it done.
Yep. Seems like, not the priority, so a little lazier when it comes to Challenger sign for them working on it.
Yeah, it's but we're not surprised. Them being lazy is nothing new.
Yeah, it's nothing new, but praying for those Challenger players out there.
Yeah, hopefully something gets wrapped up soon so they can start playing again because these guys are losing valuable time to showcase their talent and get that talent out there so they can be picked up post Major One for teams making moves because there are bound to be some teams making moves post Major One.
Yep.
Interesting thing that happened. I don't know too much about this, but I saw it in here and wanted to mention it. We didn't have it written down, but I kind of forgot about it. There was like a global rebranding effort. I forget who was it. Yeah, so Overactive Media executes a letter of intent to acquire both Koi and Movie Star Riders to form a global esports powerhouse. So like the Toronto Ultra kind of merging with bigger European brands, which is big. Hopefully, signals that we're going to keep catering to the UK fan base a little bit because, as we know, I mean, you would think with the amount of people in the United States and Call of Duty being such a big North American thing, Canada, United States, Mexico, all that, we'd have a much bigger listening. But you see the percentages of the people listening to the podcast, and like, damn, it's like sometimes the percentage listening from the UK and over there in Europe is pretty insane. There is crazy support in Europe, so good to see that we have investors and people still being involved over there. Obviously, as well as with the Spanish boys over at Heretics, a lot of Spanish investors. So good to see them continuing to stay involved because they are a huge part of the community that we cannot lose, even though there's no teams over there anymore.
Yep. There's some good fans over there. Like,
and good players as well.
Yeah. Definitely good players. Just like back in the day, the London events go crazy.
Yeah. And we've seen over the past how many years, like we've seen it in front of our eyes, the development of the European players as well. Like back, maybe even in like the Jetpack era, there were like a couple teams that could compete. And,
Mm-hmm.
other than that, they didn't really hang around as well. Like Black Ops 2, when you started to see them come over, they were just getting dominated
Yep.
when they played NA competition. And then slowly, as there were LAN leagues and they got to play more, they just got better and better and better. And now they're basically, on the same level. For the most part, a lot of the top players, the same level as any of the guys, um, in the CDL or North American CDL, I should say. So
Mm-hmm.
good to see the UK presence still staying strong. And then our
Yep.
last piece of news, Brock. This one, basically, we were going to talk about it, and it got shut down before we could even start the podcast.
Yep.
And that is Real. So there was like a rumor that came out from Breaking Point that said Real was potentially getting dropped, or they were looking at dropping him and looking at replacements. But Clay shut that down pretty quickly and basically said, he's having some visa troubles, and it could potentially jeopardize his ability to play this weekend with dealing with that. So they're kind of looking at replacements, emergency replacements on the off chance that Real is not able to make it to the matches and play. So they may need a replacement just for that. So it doesn't sound like they're actually looking to replace him full time, just for the matches this weekend, potentially, if he's unable to go.
The temporary.
Yeah.
It's always it's not a CDL season without a visa issue, isn't it?
I mean, yeah, I honestly can't remember, even pre-CDL. I can't remember the last time there wasn't a visa issue, because pretty confident there was probably one at some point in MW that I can't remember, and I'm sure there was one every year. If I really went back and thought about it, I'm sure I could come up with one. And I even remember back in Black Ops 4, there was for sure at least a visa issue with Dashy. So we can at least go into the year before the CDL. Because I remember Zuma having to play on OpTic in his place for a few weeks.
Yep.
So yeah, visa, you're not wrong. It would not be a CDL season without a visa issue. It literally happens all the time.
Yep. But hopefully, Real gets that all sorted and can get back to playing.
Yeah, that would be the most ideal situation, because he has the talent, has had a little bit of a rough stretch here to start the year at times, as has Carolina Royal Ravens, but it would be the worst way for things to happen. All of a sudden, he gets subbed out because he's unable to make a match, and then somebody takes a spot because they start frying. Don't wish that on him. That would be really unfortunate. We saw that happen once already with Gunless having to sit out for LAG.
Yep.
And then we all know what happened. Spark came in, and they made the crazy improbable run.
The Volk.
Yeah, and ended up winning it, and Gunless lost his spot, unfortunately.
Yep. The unfortunate circumstances. Hopefully it's not one of these, but you never know. You never just know.
Yeah. Yeah, you never know. That's true. All right. You ready to jump into predictions?
I was gonna say one more.
Yeah.
CDL team packs, $12 this year.
Oh yeah. What's the date of those? I forgot. I saw it, but I forgot. It's today.
Today, January 8th.
For some reason, I thought it was tomorrow, but it is today. You're right. Yeah.
Up in the price, I see. I think last couple years it's been $10.
Yeah. Yeah, that's quality hasn't gone up. It's not like it's an in-person thing, and the level of execution on the skins hasn't really gone up or anything, and they're just raising the price. That is classic Activision.
Mm-hmm. Maybe I'll need to buy a skin, see like my team for the year, and see how they do or something.
Yeah, I mean, what is your history on buying skins? Isn't it usually go pretty well for them? What was the first one you bought? Cold War, right?
Cold War, I bought Toronto, and then they just ended up winning the tournament.
Yeah. Vanguard, you bought LAG, and they won.
No, Vanguard, I still bought Toronto.
Oh, did you?
I bought LAG NW2, and they didn't win about a game forever.
Never mind. So you're like, you've done like basically everything. You picked Ultra, and they had a fantastic Cold War year. Then you picked Ultra and Vanguard, and they were kind of just a middle of the pack team.
Mm-hmm.
And then you picked LAG, and they literally couldn't have gotten any worse.
Yeah.
So if the cycle continues, you could be back to picking a really good team again.
Yeah, we're going for the middle team this time. It sounds like.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I gotta pick one of these days.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to pick one for the year. I usually just kind of look at which one I'm vibing with. I think last year I bought Rocker. They weren't very good. All right. Now we can jump into predictions. So we haven't talked about the way the standings shook out. So last week, Brock and I were dumb and we weren't thinking, and Brock had to, head out on his cruise. And before he headed on his cruise and had no service on his phone, we forgot to get his picks. And it wasn't in time to record the podcast. So I got one of our friends that also watches the CDL to pick for him. And he had the best week we've had so far. Not by a lot, but he did get Brock 10 points. So Brock had 8 week 1 and 10 points in week 2, and I had 9 exactly both weeks. So that locks us up at 18 to 18, Brock. And not only does it lock us up at 18, but you won last week by 1, so I get the veto advantage on the 4-point play. And then
Yep, I'm back. My mic just decided to not cooperate with me.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's all good. All good. I was like, did I drop? No, we're good. All right.
Yep.
So yeah, did you hear that part?
Yes,
you ended up winning the last week because your guest celebrity picker picked the highest point total of the year with 10 points.
That's I just not would have thought that would happen with the guy we picked him.
Yeah, that's 100% true.
Yep. Thank you to our friend that picked him for me.
Yeah, but it does make it interesting because we're locked up at 18. This isn't technically the final week. Obviously, there is one more week after this. There's 4 weeks of qualifiers now instead of 3. But we're locked up at 18. I do get the veto advantage, or like the advantage to pick the 4-point match before you this week because you did win last week.
Okay.
That's how we kind of have to go because we're tied overall. But for those of you that are new listening for the first time, it's pretty simple. We pick the teams, pick a map count, and then we put either 1 or 2 confidence points on it. If we get the match right, we gain a point. If we get the match wrong and we put 1 point on it, we lose it. Same thing for 2 points. Put 2 points on it, you gain 2 points. Get it wrong, you lose those 2 points. It's basically like wagering points on it to get a total. So it's not just picking straight up, and you can actually make comebacks if you're down by a lot. And then if you get the correct map count and team right, you get a bonus point.
Yep.
Either 1 or 2 points, and then every week we can each put 4 points on one series that we're feeling the most confident on. So it's usually in the past been always saved for Atlanta Faze matches for the most part because they're almost guaranteed wins at all times.
You're not wrong.
So jumping into it, we got I'm gonna pull up the standings here on the side too, so I don't forget exactly where everybody's sitting because we've got some interesting teams that maybe people wouldn't expect. I mean, we've got 3 undefeated teams. Sorry. 2 that you'd probably expect, Atlanta Faze and New York Subliners, but they're sitting in 2nd and 3rd place right now because the Miami Heretics are 3-0 with the best map win percentage, 9-2.
Jeez, vamos. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, and there's one winless team in the CDL, and that is the Minnesota Rocker. Kind of surprised by that, to be honest.
I definitely would have thought it'd been LAG, but I see they have a win.
Yeah, and they beat Toronto.
Dang.
Yeah, a little bit unreal there.
Yeah.
You'd expect they would have beat somebody probably not the best. Or sorry, they didn't beat Toronto. What am I saying? They beat LAT, the Battle of LA that they own LA in.
Oh yeah, they beat them again.
Yeah, my bad. I was thinking of Boston. Boston took out Toronto 3-0 in a pretty convincing fashion. Snoopy took over. But LAG, the classic Battle of LA, where even if LAT is the by far better team, LAG just somehow pulls it out every time.
Yep. Doesn't make sense, but it's how it is.
Yeah, so that was funny, but we're kicking it off, and I'm going to be honest with you, Brock. I'm going with my 4-point match right away. We've got LAG versus Atlanta to kick off Friday, and we always talk about how Atlanta is the prime suspect to pick and put the most points on because they don't lose often, and they're playing LAG, who I know they have a win and aren't technically the worst team in the standings, but in my opinion, they're still down there. So I'm going Atlanta 3-0, and I'm putting my 4 points on it. However, if the qualifiers did end today, LAG is in winners bracket. As funny as that is, they're 1-2, but all the teams below them are 1-3, so they end up making winners bracket.
Let's go LAG. They're starting strong this year.
I guess that's one word for it.
Yep. I will also go 3-0, and I'll just put the 2 points.
Yeah, that's seems probably like the most logical pick.
Mm-hmm.
especially because 3-0s are bound to happen like pretty much every week. And it's hard to find opportunities to pick them because you always feel like teams can keep it a little close. So this is prime opportunity for the 3-0.
Yep.
Then we've got Seattle versus Toronto, a match that I'm very, very, very intrigued to watch. Seattle obviously started super strong with the 2-0 start and then kind of faltered a bit going forward and losing their last two matches. The one to OpTic was a little bit tight, but they're 2-2 overall. And Toronto is 2-1 overall with that weird loss to Boston where they got 3-0'd. So people probably looking at Toronto still as the better team overall. But once again, coming out of this break, you never know. Through practice, maybe teams got better. Maybe teams figured things out. Maybe they got worse. But I'm still viewing these as two of our upper echelon teams. Toronto still in the top four. I'd say Seattle probably falls in that 5-6 range. Interested to see how this one shakes out. I think Toronto's going to get back on track. As much as I like the Seattle team, everybody knows I'm a big fan of them, but I think Toronto's going to get back on track. But I do think it's going to go to a map 5, and I'm only putting 1 point on it. So 3-2 Toronto, putting 1 point.
All right. I am going to go the opposite way and put 2 points on it.
Going Seattle 3-2?
Yep, Seattle 3-2. Illy, Arcitys, the crew. I like it, like the chances.
I like them in a game 5. I know I picked Toronto 3-2, but it's not a team I feel great picking against in a map 5. Even if this team was to really struggle in Search and Destroy, when I see a team even if it just had Illy on it, it's a team that I don't like to bet against in Search and Destroy. And obviously you add Hook, who's had a lot of success in Search and Destroy, especially dating back to last year. I also trust Arcitys big time in the game mode. We know Abezy has a lot of talent. And they had a little bit of a controversy going on with them. Did you see that? Abezy getting accused of using like the single tap.
Oh yes,
and like Zuma was talking about how like they did like an investigation stuff into it. It's a little bit of controversy going on with Seattle over the break as well.
So that's interesting.
Yeah, interested to see how that plays out.
Yep.
All right, let's go to the third match. It's our winless team versus an undefeated team. Our only winless team, the Minnesota Rocker, versus the New York Subliners. Who you got here?
I'm going to go New York 3-1 and put 2 points on it.
I am in complete agreement with you. That was exactly what I was thinking.
Yep.
New York 3-1 and put 2 points on it. Was exactly where I was going. Just seems to me that this New York team is probably going to continue to roll because I don't think they have the toughest schedule coming up. Also, hard to put our faith in Minnesota right now, considering they are our only winless team, and they do not have the easiest way to get back on track here, but they might have a get-right match playing Carolina later in the weekend.
Yep.
That moves us on to Saturday, Brock, where your boys, Vamos, Miami Heretics, try to keep their undefeated season alive so far versus Seattle. Not an easy match by any means, but man, Seattle could be in danger after this weekend.
They definitely could.
You picked them to win, but that Toronto match is not going to be an easy match, and then Miami is not an easy match either. Then they're 2-2. They could be in danger of falling to 2-4 after this weekend. Big weekend for them.
Yeah.
Especially because they're a team that we expect to be at least starting in winners, and they're a team that I can see making a run to like. They're one of those outside the top 4 teams that I think are a top candidate to make a top 4 run.
Yep.
But definitely in danger of falling to 2-4 this weekend.
Yeah.
You think they're going to do so, or are they going to take care of business versus Miami?
I personally think Heretics are going to win 3-2 in a close game 5, and I'll put 1 point on it.
Okay. I really, really want to pick Miami because I talked about it a little bit in the last solo pod, but if you look at their schedule going forward, Brock, it's not like undefeated stage 1 is like in the cards for them. They had one, I think they played OpTic was their tough match, but like they played Seattle, who's 2-2 and very beatable, and then they play Boston on Sunday, who are very beatable. I mean, Boston only has the 1 win; they're 1-3, and then they have OpTic and then LAG. So realistically, they should be able to beat Seattle, Boston, and LAG, and that OpTic match is obviously the tough one. So like Miami, like there's a very, very, very real possibility that they finish the split 6-1 or 7-0
Yeah.
is very doable. So I like them for the storylines. Something about the Seattle team, though, especially if they lose to Toronto, like I'm predicting, I think Seattle's going to pull this out. As much as I love this Miami team and want to see them succeed, I think Seattle's going to avenge their Game 5 that they have earlier in the weekend. I'm going to pick them 3-2 and put 1 point on it. But for the storylines, I kind of hope Miami wins because an undefeated split could be on the cards for them. It's just that OpTic match scares me because OpTic has looked very, very, very good.
Yeah. But it's definitely a hard match to pick, in my opinion, for sure.
Yeah, because it's a team that maybe is surprising us, the fact that they're undefeated in Miami, and then a team in Seattle that we both have a lot of faith in the players.
Yep. Agreed.
Then we got Boston versus LAG. Boston obviously underachieving so far this year. They did have a nice win against Toronto to maybe get themselves back on track, and they are clinging on to the 8th seed right now. This is a big match for seeding purposes, though, because LAG sitting one spot in front of them in 7th right now for the major one standing. So could be a big game for Boston to kind of get back on track and potentially, move up the seeding ladder a little bit, try to avoid the Atlanta Faze of the world, which is always an ideal thing for you to do in your seeding.
Yep.
What are you thinking here? Boston, LAG? You think LAG can continue their winning ways and get another win on the board, or Boston going to climb the standings a little bit here?
I think Boston's going to get back to what we think they're going to be this year. Top 5, top 6. So I'm going to pick Boston in a 3-1 fashion, and I'll put 2 points on it.
Okay.
I just trust their players more.
All right. Boston 3-2, 2 points, you said?
3-1.
Oh, 3-1, my bad.
Yep.
3-1. I don't know why, but I just have this feeling LAG is getting smoked this weekend. I'm saying Boston 3-0, and I'm putting 2 points on. I think LAG is going to go 0-6 map count this weekend. Now watch, though, somehow go 2-0 and take out Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
But I like Boston in this match as well. I think they're going to get back on track. They need to get back on track with this match because they play Miami later, and that's going to be a tough one. And then they wrap up the split for Major 2 with, where is it here? After Miami, then they wrap up with New York. So absolutely crucial for Boston to get this win versus LAG, and then they need to find a way to beat either Miami or New York to probably have a chance at winners bracket, because 3 and 4 will probably get you in at the bottom.
Yeah, I would say.
But definitely can't be dropping the match against LAG if they want a shot at winners bracket, because then they have to beat both Miami and New York to even have a chance, which are obviously tough matches.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Ooh.
Yeah. All right. Moving on. A match that, honestly, if I saw it a few weeks ago, I would have believed it was better, but I'm not really sure now. And that's Toronto versus LAT. LAT sitting at 1-3 with a 4-9 map count. Haven't looked all that great in our last showing from Toronto. We were left a little bit shaky on them. However, I still have the faith in Toronto, and I still believe that this LA team has something in them to be good, and I won't be shocked if they won this, but I find it hard to be trusting in them right now, and I'm going to put Toronto 3-1, and I'm going to throw 2 points down on it.
You're in my mind. Quite literally.
Thinking the same thing?
Yeah. Envoy revenge game. It's a former team.
Yeah, it's just I want to pick LAG and I want them to be good, but it's hard to have faith in them right now.
Yeah. Maybe they'll be good when we see Cold War Cammy come out.
Yeah, we've been waiting only 3 or 4 years for that to come back out.
Yep.
Oh, wow, we're into the Las Vegas gauntlet.
Uh-huh.
I
feel bad for them right now.
Yeah, because remember even before the season had kicked off, we were saying like Vegas has got to start, like, what was it, 3-1 or 2-1, whatever. How many? They're 1-3 overall. Remember we were saying like Vegas, you've got to be 3-1 or something coming out of the first couple weeks, because they had New York, which is obviously a very tough match, and then they had Heretics, which before the season we were thinking Heretics was going to be more middle of the pack, and they obviously look very good. And then they had Minnesota, which is their only win. And they had Carolina, who they lost to. So, like, you were thinking, like, man, you really got to beat Carolina, you really got to beat Minnesota, and you really got to beat Miami, we were thinking. But now their schedule looks even tougher, because if Miami is, like, an undefeated caliber team. Then Vegas had to play Miami and then the top 4, and they ended up losing to Carolina. Because as we had mentioned, Vegas gets the gauntlet here. They play the last match on Saturday against OpTic, and then they play the first match on Sunday against Faze. So that's absolutely brutal. And then next weekend, they have to play Ultra still.
Jeez.
So they probably played you could argue that their schedule, based on the way the standings might shake out, they might have played the top 5 teams in standings. Because Miami's 1, Faze is 2, New York's 3, OpTic's 4, and Ultra's 5 right now. So there's a good chance that Vegas had to play the top 5 teams in our qualifiers.
Yeah. It's tough for them.
Brutal. And I don't think it's going to get any better here. I think OpTic is going to take care of business against them 3-0, putting 2 points on it.
Mm-hmm. Man, this is just tough. I'll go with Texas 3-1, 1 point. Actually, 2 points. What am I saying?
3-1, you said?
Yeah, 3-1. I'll give the 1 for attached.
Respect. Gotta respect attach.
Yep.
It's our boy. It's just a tough match here for Vegas, and I think the trend is going to continue. For some reason, I'm going to say they also don't go. They don't go 0-6. There's no way. I'm going to give them a map first phase, but I'm putting 2 points on a phase 3-1. Always hard to pick against Faze, and Vegas hasn't shown me anything this year that would lead me to believe they're going to beat Faze. I just feel weird saying 2 teams are going to get 6-0 this weekend, so I'm giving them a bone and throwing them a map.
Yep. I'll go like you did for Texas versus Las Vegas. I'm going to go 3-0 and 2 points.
Yeah. That's probably the correct pick. I just felt weird having them get 3-0'd again, even after having LAG get double 3-0'd.
Yeah, they could get double 3-0'd back-to-back days in like 20 minutes tops time.
That'd be demoralizing because it'd knock them to 1-5, basically guaranteed losers bracket. That'd be a tough start to the year, but I mean, they were really screwed by the schedule makers here. They had just a brutal start.
Yeah, I hope if they end up doing bad this split, they don't look for a change. Because I think this team down the line can get really good.
I think they could be really good too, and I hope they realize that they're playing all the top teams right now. It's just that Carolina loss crushes them because they're Carolina's only win, and the Royal Ravens haven't looked very good. So the fact that they lost to them is really crushing because they could be sitting at 2-2 right now with losses to Miami and New York. And then you'd be like, okay, the only 2 teams we lost to are undefeated. You wouldn't feel as bad. Yeah. But now here you sit and you're 1-3 and you lost to Carolina as well as the 2 undefeated teams. And you still you're staring down the barrel of OpTic in Atlanta in your next 2 matches.
Yeah. That is
However, they could change the narrative on themselves if they somehow come out of this weekend 2-0. We'll be like, oh my God, Vegas is here.
Yeah, that'll be hoping for it. Praying, they're hoping for it.
Yeah, they need a lot more than hope, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. Next match, Brock, Minnesota versus Carolina. Somebody that we view as one of the bottom teams right now is going to come out with a win. We'll have to see if Real is able to play this weekend. Hopefully he is, but like Clay mentioned, some visa troubles going on there that may force him to be held out. We don't really know who a potential replacement could be right now, but you think Minnesota is going to get their first win of this CDL season, or is Carolina going to get it done and kind of keep their winners bracket hopes alive and move to 2-3?
I think Minnesota, they got accuracy, it's pretty typical of a player. I think Minnesota's going to get their first W on the board if, Royal Ravens do not have Real. So I'm going to go Minnesota 3-2 in a real close grudge match, and I'll put 1 point on it.
I'm thinking the exact same thing. I was thinking a Minnesota 3-2 with 1 point. I don't have a lot of faith in Carolina. Like you said, it could get really scary if they're having to sub a person in the last minute. And I still like this Minnesota roster has pieces that I like. I like Linz as a player. I like Awakening. I like accuracy. I really overall just like the makeup of this team. Like Vivid. Like this is a team that I have faith in to be pretty good. They just haven't shown it at all this year. So it's like conflicting, but I don't know. In a match where they're playing another team that's struggling and may have a substitute playing, I just like the idea of them finally finding a way to get it done. Hopefully they use the break to take everything seriously and really fix something. So I'm also going Minnesota 3-2 and putting 1 point on it.
Yep. I like it.
Okay, next match, we've got New York trying to continue their potentially undefeated split if they beat Minnesota earlier in the weekend. against LAT. We both have LAT losing in their first match as well. So a loss here for LAT if the first match goes like we think it does. We put them at 1-5 and probably pretty much guaranteed to miss winners bracket. So yikes. Very tough year for a team that we thought could potentially start out the year pretty well. I'm going to say they're going to fall to New York 3-1, and I'm putting 2 points on it. So I think LAT may be panicking a little bit after this weekend.
Mm-hmm. Man, I am also going NYSL 3. I think it'd be closer than expected, so 3-2, and I'll put 1 point on it.
Okay. I don't mind it. It's a LAT, they're a team that it feels like organization-wise, they seem to do pretty well with their back against the wall, but we'll see if this iteration of the team does that as well, because obviously there were some bets on the past team that really kept things going for them pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
All right, then our final match of the weekend, Boston, Miami. You picked Miami to win the last match. I did not. So for you, they're trying to continue their undefeated split. I think they are going to get it done this time. I think we're going to have another 3-1 on the day, our third 3-1. I think Miami's going to win it 3-1. And I'm going to put 2 points on it. I really think they're going to, once again, Boston would then fall to 2-4. So they're putting Boston in danger of falling to losers bracket. But I just think Miami's going to be able to get it done. I wouldn't be surprised if they beat Seattle, even though I picked against them. But they look good, man. It's hard to bet against them right now, especially when they're playing more of a bottom middle team like Boston.
Yep, man. I'm also gonna continue the trend of Miami gonna go 7-0 in the split. So, and I'll pick them. I think they'll lose the first 2 matches. Hard point search, and reverse sweep them. End the day off, and I'll put 2 points on it.
I think a little Miami reverse sweep.
Yep, dealing it.
Okay, I like it. The way these shake out, we're gonna be pretty tight heading into the final week of matches because we went same map count and almost same confidence points for the first 2 matches. Oh wait, you missed a 4-pointer.
Huh, you're not wrong.
I just realized that we just completely forgot to have you put 4 on one match. So you can do it on any match except LAG Atlanta. You want to switch one of those into 4 points?
I will switch the Texas versus Las Vegas.
Okay. Putting 4 points on OpTic. But either way, that's still, my point still stands. We're going to be pretty damn close because besides maybe, so the first day we have the same team in 2 of the 3 matches. The second day we have the same team in 3 of the 4 matches. And the final day we picked the same team in every match. And our confidence points are different on only 1 match on Friday and only 1 match on Saturday just because of the 4-point, and then 2 matches on Friday because of the 4-point, and then a 1 and a 2 split for us. So honestly, as long as we're getting the matches right, it's really going to come down to a lot of map count. Probably if one of us can pick up bonus points on map count, but it's pretty much guaranteed we're going to be pretty tight going into that final week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm excited to see how this all shakes out this weekend.
This was like a weird week of matches to predict because just like with the way things are shaking out right now, like and the way teams have looked, it's like you've got Miami who looks really good, Faze and Subliners who look very good, OpTic who's looked very good since that first match, and Toronto who maybe didn't look as good in their last match, but we still have a lot of faith in them. And then it's like it's a hard drop off from there to like Seattle who looked really good right away, but then lost 2 in a row, and LAG who's in 7th, but we don't trust them. Boston who we feel like should be good, but they've been bad so far, and then Vegas, Thieves, Carolina, Minnesota have all been bad. So it's like you got the top 5, and then you got like an okay Seattle, and then like 6 teams that you don't feel very good about at all right now. So it's weird to predict. You're predicting a lot of matches that feel lopsided because it feels like it's like 5 good teams, an okay team, and 5 bad teams, or 6 bad teams.
Yeah.
It's a weird spot for the CDL right now.
Indeed.
Yeah. All right. You got anything else? It hasn't been a ton of news. I don't really know if there's anything else big for us to touch on at all.
No, I'm excited to get back on the podcast and excited for rank play to come out. 17th.
Yeah, 17th is the date?
Yep, 17th.
I was gonna say I thought it was like 16th to 17th. I couldn't remember the exact date. So here's to hoping that they actually drop it.
True.
On the correct day, and I'm so sad because I like to just sit down and grind that weekend. And of course, I'm going to be out of town the weekend of the 19th, 20th, 21st. So I can't do the typical like, oh, rank play came out. This is gonna be a free weekend. I'm gonna sit down and grind it. I'm gonna have to grind it Wednesday and Thursday night because, of course, I'm headed up north with a bunch of friends for the weekend. So I'm gonna be unable to grind rank play after waiting for so long. They have to drop it on a weekend where I'm busy. They should consult me for my schedule first.
Yeah, literally.
But yeah, I'm very excited to jump into it because I grinded, got the camos done for MW2, and then for me, Call of Duty at this point is just all rank play. I absolutely love rank play, can't get enough of it, but at some point, I can only play so much pubs.
Yep. Don't play so much until you get real bored and just don't want to play until the rank play comes up for the competitive.
I could play unlimited rank play, but pubs, it's tough sometimes. I enjoy it early, but this game, especially for pubs, I had played all the maps already, so it wasn't like I was even like learning new maps, you know?
Yeah, just kind of same some of the old ones you already know.
Yeah, but I'm very much looking forward to rank play. I think it'll be very, very fun to play. It's always very fun, especially since we've gotten the actual good elo system. It's always fun to play rank play and try to climb up the ladders.
Yep, sure is.
All right, that's going to do it for this one. If you guys enjoyed, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube. If you're on the audio platforms, drop a follow, drop a 5-star review. We appreciate all you guys listening. Very, very excited to jump back into matches now. From here on out, we pretty much start rolling for the season. No more big time breaks coming up, and just a few weeks away from a major, which is very, very, very exciting. So super excited to get into all that. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one.